everyone, welcome back to Scriptcase by me. And today, as you can see, we're going to continue with our project. And it's about time, right? So let's get to it, shall we? Okay, so within our project, I have gone ahead and made a few adjustments because, like I promised previously, we had some language variables missing and some logos and so forth. So let's jump into our new menu that we had created previously. And you may notice that I have changed the theme as well as added the logo in here. So we will have a look at those first of all, as I had also added in here the variables that would be essentially added in here, and the profile links and so forth. And as you can tell, icons. So I had spent the time and done that, as well as a few other adjustments, as we shall see. So the first thing we have here is language variables for all of our menu items, which we didn't have previously. So I have gone ahead and adjusted those behind the scenes. And for our user menu, we have here our user variables that we actually have here set within our event. Okay, so that is applied here, and we can just comment that out so that when we enable our security, which we're going to display very soon, then that will be populated with that data. We don't need that no more. Okay. So within our menu items, I had also gone ahead and made a few other adjustments. So I have not added the links here yet, but I have added the sec login target here for the exit. Now we have here also the toolbar items, and I have added in here the themes, and that was it there. And for the layout, I have gone ahead and included the logos here, the compact logo, the main logo, as well as specified the theme here as light gray. So those were the changes I've made on the menu, and that's what it's made, make it look the way it is now. And I think it looks really nice. Actually, I really do like this new menu. So I do need to create a video on this still. I haven't gone ahead and created one yet, other than the one for the Scriptcase homepage, which I created a few days ago. And those were a bit of work. Of course, those specific videos for homepages, main pages, yeah, you want to spend a bit more time on those, and they want to be a little different than these videos now, don't they? Okay, so within our admin area, we had here our clients applications, we had also our company applications and our email applications. Now I have not made any changes here, and I do want to, make further adjustments to this, but I think we're actually going to do that next year. And I do apologize for that, but I think, as time is, it's just been madness, okay? And this way, next year, we're going to be concentrating on, complete projects within a video. Okay, so it's going to be slightly different next year. I have a ton of content there, as you may have seen from the previous video. And with that, of course, there's other content coming too. So let's have a quick look then at what we had done here. So within our companies menu, I have also added the logos and so forth in here. So we can see all of those added in there now, and what they would then basically look like. Now, I think when you add a logo, in some cases, maybe you do want to actually adjust those dimensions so that it all looks the same within your platform, or make other adjustments that you like. So with that, we had then also here our company clients. Now here I have removed the logo field, and I had also completed here our action here. So this works entirely now, so we can actually enable or disable a user here straight away. It pops up with the notifications there, as you see, and it's quite nice, so that's actually fully functional now. So you can actually disable or enable company clients. Then we had our active clients list, and here we can email clients, and we can also edit clients, as well as then also set their set the client active or inactive. Now all of these functionalities, they all work now as well, so I went ahead and made a few adjustments there and adjusted the redirect. So let's have a quick look at those, because yeah, I kind of did those also behind the scenes. So we have here our active and also our inactive clients. Now I could really place both of these, the active and inactive clients, on one grid application. Now in some cases I think that's great to do, and in the majority of them it's probably the best way to do it, because of course then you only have one grid for your two selects. So to do that, you would come here to your events, and on script init you could add there one of the Scriptcase macros, which then allows us then to change or add to the where select on your MySQL select. So with that, then you can add a where or an and statement, and then add extra variables or requirements to your search. So with that, we could then essentially come here to the menu items and then specify here, after our application, some variables that we're going to pass. Active and inactive, for instance, are 1 and 2, and then that would then switch on the grid. We'll do that, I think, later on. Now, the reason why I went ahead and created 2 grid applications is because generally on the inactive, you may want to have different features or capabilities than what you have on the active. And that then, well, it makes it easier then for management, because once you use one grid application for all, then you need to also think about hiding those specific fields or those capabilities or those buttons, or making those other adjustments for that other group or for that other status, i.e. active or inactive, that you are essentially searching for. So with that, you can then basically have one grid instead of 2. Now, like I said, I've gone with the 2 because, management reasons, different capability reasons, and so forth. But we'll have a look at that later on. As I said right at the beginning, also, this project, well, this is just the starting point. So this, we're going to add the security to it in a moment and literally finish it off, make sure all these variables and everything work. And then with that, well, we'll call it a day for this year. But then next year, well, we will use this as a starting point for some of our projects, because we already have companies and clients in here, and that essentially is half of the applications that you would essentially build. So I think the first thing we will do is then in the new year is add here the further email functionality, because I've been working a lot with SendGrid lately thanks to one of my clients, and I really do like that. So I will add the SendGrid and Mandrill as an option here into the email settings, and that will then switch out the fields, change the settings over depending on the selection, and then change how the emails are sent. Okay, and of course that we would then have to adjust then also on all of the security applications, so that then all works smoothly. So that's something we will have a look at next year, but for now we want to really actually just finish off this project. Everything's functional now, everything's working, all of these actions, everything's redirecting properly. So now when you deactivate a client, it will take you to the inactive client, so you see it's there in the list straight away. And at the same time, if you want to go back, you can always just go back to the active clients, however you please. Okay, so with that, I think we have then also here our email log and email templates. Those all work. I still need to regenerate here the email templates, because we see here it is still missing the buttons, and that is because I have re-imported this project from one of the other Scriptcase versions. So if I come here to my email templates, and if I just go ahead and run that one again, now the buttons appear. Okay, so we can actually go ahead with our menu again here, and I come here back to our email templates. Now the buttons are there, for the logs are there, and for the settings. So everything there is looking great now. It's looking pretty much complete, right? So for, a basic company and client management system, I don't know what else you would really want to add to that other than maybe company notes, client notes, and of course they're all things we're going to be adding to this, because that's the sort of thing you would add to your platform. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and come up here to the security, and we're going to start with a new security module, use the group, and I would choose my connection. Now I'm going to use my existing tables because, as some of you for sure know already, if I choose to create the tables right now, it is actually giving me a bug, which is a little frustrating. I have a couple bugs at the moment. I'm not going to scream and shout about them, but it's just the way it goes. So we can always work around them, and that's one of the things, of course, that I have from my 10, 15, 15, well, God knows how many years already of using Scriptcase. I think it's around 12, 13 now. And of course I've learned all these other ways of dealing with these other types of situations, and making Scriptcase work for me, because it does work if you know how to. And that's pretty much what you get when you pay those excessive fees that I have. If they're excessive now, you let me know. Okay, so I have here in my table, I don't actually have tables here. Ouch. So that hurts, doesn't it? So what are we going to do? Well, I need to add my tables in here. So I'm going to come here to Database Builder, come here to the Con SQL, and yes, I see I do not have my security tables here. So what I'm going to then do is, let me see, I should have them in another database. So let me come here. Okay, so if I log in then to my PHP on my server, I have here already plenty of other applications I've generated here, including the security platform. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to export this table, or these tables, save that. And then I can, of course, go ahead and open that. And with that, I have then here my MySQL Workbench. Now, if you don't have MySQL Workbench installed, then maybe that is not the best way to go, because then of course it's going to open Notepad for you. Okay, but then you just want to select the same thing as well. You don't have to select everything, because if you choose to select here the set SQL start, you're actually adjusting the configuration in your PHP and your SQL server for a moment. Now it's not a big deal, but at the same time, maybe you don't want to do that. Okay, so here back in my database builder, I can come here to SQL command, and I can just paste those tables in there and execute that. And there it has gone ahead and added all of those tables for me and some users. And okay, but we can deal with that in a moment. So let's come back in here then. I need to then start to regenerate the security again. And that's a bit frustrating. There's no refresh button there. Maybe, hopefully, there'll be one added. And of course, as somebody pointed out in the last live session, this edit button doesn't allow you to edit nothing, just the title, which is pretty useless if you ask me, because who wants to edit the titles on all of these? I think that's so funny. And there's no way to edit these. So Scriptcase, guys, we need edit features here. We need to actually edit what we've saved. Okay, that's important, guys. But I'm going to let you know anyway. So here, create security again, use the group again, and I need to go through this whole process again, which isn't really that bad, and it hasn't updated my database. So what do? We need to come out, and I'm going to then come here to my database builder again, enter back in here. Now I'm hoping that has the refreshed. Otherwise, the alternative method is, there is none. There is none. So let's come back here to security, group security modules, choose my connection. Let's refresh that here. Okay, and then we use our existing tables again. Go next. And now we have our tables. So you need to remember to click that refresh button there. That would have helped me a great deal now, wouldn't it? Okay, so login, password, and believe I've done this quite a few times already as well. It's funny. Okay, phone, position. Now, I don't think we had a position here, did we? We had a role. Okay, email, active, privilege, activation code, the two-factor authentication, add the user picture, and the last password change, which is at the bottom here. Okay, so we need to add all of these tables to, or the rows to these table specifications here. And then we have our groups. And then with that, all of the tables and rows have been assigned to the relevant tables for those applications that we are going to now generate within Scriptcase. Okay, so apps, I missed that one there. Sec apps, app name, description, app type, user group. And then we have here our users groups, login and group ID, and our group applications, which is then set group apps, group ID, and then we add again here all of those that make sense. So priv insert, priv delete, priv update, and so forth. They're pretty straightforward, really. So you just choose those, and then the settings. Maybe the only one is figuring out which table it is initially, and then otherwise the values that are to be assigned are pretty much always correct. Of course, if you have your own tables, well, that might be slightly different. You may have named them a little differently. Okay, so I will keep the security folder. I'm going to keep the prefix of these applications as app. Enable security, yes. Now the cookie session time, I'm going to set that to 7 days. I think that's long enough. And I'm going to display a friendly message. Now the theme project is what it is. We have a menu already, so I'm going to choose then the menu new. And use suite alert, yes, login and general. Okay, we're using the menu already, so we don't have to choose that, the menu theme that was. Okay, so login position, I will enable username and email address. I don't like MD5, not that SHA-512 is great, but you know, it's better than, yeah. Okay, so we'll display the language selection at login and the last password change. Well, I don't know if I even want to, you know, enable that option, have that feature enabled, but we'll see that later. Now, I do want to use a login template because I do not want to use the default template. So I'll choose login 01, and I do not think it is actually one of the new templates. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this, and we don't actually have a template saved other than here the original samples. So, well, the security one here. So I'm going to, so I will remove this library because I'm not entirely sure why that library is there. In fact, we can have a quick look at that. Libs login. So this is just login pages from the library. Don't want that anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take here the new samples, the latest samples, and save that one for the project. And that will give us also then the language selection on the new security. So I'll use this library now and save those project files. Now back in security, that will now become available here to me. So I can then come here to project samples and then login 01. I'll choose that one. And then email settings here. I need to add here an API because, you know, Scriptcase is pretty much forcing me to do that now. And the SMTP is not really good. Now, I do not have an API to use because the ones I use, you know, I don't use Mandrill and I don't use Amazon. So both of those are pretty much dead to me. In fact, I will add the Mandrill though, because we will add Mandrill later. Okay, we have SMTP now, but the SMTP is configured within the platform, so we don't have to add that here as an API. We could do if we wanted to, but yeah, with it in the back end of the project, of the platform, as we have it, we're still giving the user the capability of adjusting those settings. If we place it now into the API, well, there's no adjusting these settings. So let me just add some default settings in here. In fact, I should maybe put the actual email address I will use in there, because then that will, of course, save me from changing it later. Now, I don't have an API key yet, so I'm just going to go Shazam. Oh, and I didn't fill in and add a name there. And this was Mandrill. Let's see, by J. Okay, save that. Okay, and there we have now in public here our API available. So if I just click that box there, now I can't really see it, so you know what I'm going to do is get my glasses on now. Yeah, because I got some glasses now, and now I can maybe see this check. Yeah, I can see it. It's still, I do really think this color needs to be changed, guys. Somebody needs to change this, because even with the glasses, yeah, I can just about see the green. But now it's checked, okay? And now I can actually use this within the security. Okay, so yeah, I don't need them all the time. It's on the small writing and some things. So I'm trying not to use them all the time. It's going to take some getting used to, isn't it? Okay, so if I refresh that here, and now I have here the Mandrill API added that I have just made available. And if I come here then to the users, now I want to allow new users. I can adjust that later on within the back end. I can change all of these settings later. So I can actually just change here the default group. And so I'm going to call this registrations, because they would essentially be new registrations on the website. They're not a group yet, not until I've assigned them a group. Okay, so for now, they're just registrations. They log in, they can maybe see some information about the company or whatever I want to give them, but that's it. They, until I actually assign them a real group, they have no access to anything. Okay, so for the reset password, here I do prefer using the link, because that way they come back to the platform. So I'm going to leave that one enabled. And here for the authentication. Now I should note here, with this option, we're going to send them an email. So later on, when we make those adjustments for how we want to send the email, well, we will, change that here also within the security applications. So by default now, they will use the API that we will later on configure. And then at the same time, we will add the option of using the API, which we have added, or using SendGrid, or using the default SMTP that has been added. But that will come later. Okay, so for the authentication. Now, right now I have no authentication. I don't have, but I do also want to add this, because I actually do like this. I do love the two-factor authentication, but at the same time, I really hate the fact of having to go through Google or some other provider. And I do think we can actually add two-factor authentication to the platform without having to use one of these. Okay, because we can send our own email, can't we? We can send our own email. We can send our own SMS messages. We have those functionalities available within Scriptcase. So I think using those makes more sense to me. Anyway, maybe to you, if you're using those services already, maybe you will want to use them. Now, I use Google. Of course I do. I use the two-factor authentication. I think it's great. So maybe we'll do that later. We'll have a look at that later, and we'll see, because I did mention before, I'm very curious what happens if we actually add this later on to the back end of the platform, which we can, because we do have the options there. But I don't know, we'd have to see how that works, if it works beautifully. I hope so, because that would be awesome. Okay, so for our insert data, now I will leave the default admin as the username password. Now here I will add my email address. Again, help@scriptcasebyjamie.com. I have the admin group set. And now we just need to add our applications. And in this project, I want to include all of them. So I will leave include all checked, because right now, all we have is our customer clients. Now I will save this also as a profile. And if I call this project 1, which is what it's called, and it will be then for project. Okay. Now I can get rid of that. Okay, now we can go ahead and generate our source code. And now we will have security enabled. Awesome. So with security enabled, now we can, of course, customize who can see what. So right now we just have our admin applications here. And they should have actually all updated now. They should all be outdated now, because, well, we did generate as well, didn't we? Yes, we generated everything. So it generated all these applications again. Awesome. So if we then, okay, so now that our security has been generated, we can come back here into our security and run our login. But what we might want to do is come here, first of all, to our project properties and set or change here the initial menu from the menu to the new menu if you wanted, because we should have already done that previously, but we didn't. But we want to change that here to our app login now. Okay, so if I save that, now when I just click here on the run button up here in the ribbon bar, it will then just run our project from the login page. So that will save me from having to come here into the security folder and coming here to run all the time. Because yeah, we see, yeah, it's great fun that is all the time. It's better to just come here, click run, get it to run our project, and there we are. So with that, we want to make a few adjustments here, of course. So the first thing I'm going to do before anything else is, well, change here the logo. So if you don't know how to do that, we come here into our tools, and then we have here our external libraries. Of course, I come down here to our external libraries, the one we had added here previously. I can edit that. And then here in our login, we have an image folder in here. So in there, I'm going to upload my logo. So I have a small, a dark and a light logo. So I'm going to add both of those. So I click here, the upload button, and I can just drag and drop those here into the box, and those are then uploaded. If it is a zip file, then they would be extracted straight away, which is awesome. So it's not just some PNGs here, light logo small and dark logo smaller. Okay, so I can then click here on the boxes to return back to our login. In fact, I went one too far there. And we have here the login 01. And then here we have here our image. So let's, I think it's a light logo we want on this one. So light underscore logo, and it's then smaller.png. So if I save that now, I can then close that. Now it's important that you close that when you make adjustments, because otherwise the external libraries will not be updated. Okay, so only when you close, then it is actually updated here within your project. So if I now come back to our run button and refresh, yeah, that may happen as well. In that case, well, let's just regenerate our code again, because, well, maybe it just did not update that library file very well. So like this, at least, we will ensure that all library files have been exported and the project has been exported again. Okay, so now let's go ahead and click run again. And now I don't have my image there. So let's check why that is. Did I make a mistake there? Light logo underscore. It's smaller, not smaller. That would be why. That's a shame. Isn't that a shame? But that's what happens. Okay, so smaller, it's just small. Let me close that again now. And let me see this time if it just runs. Nope, I need to generate again. Okay, so I'll generate them all again, and that will then also refresh all of those library files. Oof. And then if I now go ahead and run, now we have my logo there. And of course, the next thing would be to go ahead and make some adjustments to the colors. If, of course, that's something you want to do. Now, with the new security, we have here our language selection, which is awesome now. So I'm just going to go ahead and log in. And there we have our menu. Now, all of the security menu items have been added. This has also been updated. So even what I had added there previously, all those variables, they have now all been updated. Okay, so that's pretty cool. We just need to update here our change password. So let's come back here to our root, menu new, and that was then here, the app change password that we want. So come here to the user menu, app change password, add that there into the link. I'll save that. Now we still have their profile page. And of course, I think, well, there is really no profile page, is there? So to separate everything from security, which is something we will look at later. Right now, we've generated the security. And I think, you know, we can pretty much leave it as it is now, as I was saying. But I think later on, before we continue with this, I am going to make a few little other adjustments to how this project, so to say, works. Because we've now generated the security. So everything now related to security, we will want to store that in a separate table. Because what's going to happen is you're going to come here and you're going to Well, select this folder, and then you're going to delete that folder. You're going to delete it at some point. At some point, you will delete it, no matter what that reasoning is. And for that reason, you do not really want to adjust those tables that we have here. So the sec groups apps, sec logged, sec log, sec settings, sec users groups. These specific tables that have been generated by Scriptcase, you're better off leaving those as they are. Do not, don't modify them. Because next time you generate, you're going to remove those tables. You may update something. Something at some point you will kill it. You will. That's what happens. So just for security, reasoning, safety, all of the good reasons, separate everything as much as possible. And that is the same with pretty much everything. Separation in life makes a big difference because, of course, if you are separated from something, well, then maybe it's not going to be such a big deal when it all breaks. So if you would create, for instance, which is what let's go ahead and actually prepare that table, shall we? And then maybe we have an idea of where we're going to go to later on. So I'll call it sec as well, just to keep it in the trend, and I'll call it profile. Okay, so here I will then have the profile ID, and that will be auto increasing. Now there we will then first of all have the user login. Okay, now generally before I started using Scriptcase, I was always going for a user ID. I was always user IDs, never for the login. And even for the first years, I struggled with the change of that. Okay, not only trying to enforce my change onto Scriptcase, but also trying to adjust to their enforced changes. If that makes any sense. Well, I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. So in that case, it's just best practice to separate everything. So right now, this would essentially give us a profile ID, a user ID, a number. We don't have to use the user login no more. We can just use the user login just for authentication. And then at authentication, we will also grab here the profile ID. And then when you come to deleting your tables or updating your tables, then maybe your user logins, your user IDs, and everything will still be safe and secure and sound, and you can still make that easy adjustment because exporting a few tables is much easier. And then, of course, migrating that with applications and, the structure that you have in place with that separation in mind, well, will make a massive difference. Okay, will make a massive difference. And at the same time, that also applies extra layers of security, okay? Because if you have data spread around everywhere, then where is that data? You need to find it. You need to piece it together. You need to compile it. It's not so straightforward. So, think of that as well. So with that, of course, we want to change here our user login to a varchar, okay? Because that's what it is. It is a varchar, and ideally, 250. I think it's set at 150, but I like to set it a little larger. And even I do adjust the user login there as well. And I think I even adjust the length of one or two of the other fields because some names are, double, triple, quadruple barreled, and in those cases, well, 10 characters is not enough. Okay, so here we have then our profile ID, user login. So here maybe we want to have other options. So let's call it option or opt, okay? And then option 1 would be, say, maybe emails. And then maybe the next option could be, whatever else you want to assign to this user. You may have specific IDs or whatever it will be. We will think of more options to apply that later. But for now, I will add these two. So for the opt email, I will set that as a tiny int. And it's just 1 because it's just one letter. It will be one number. And then we'll just say 1 email enabled and 0 email disabled. Simple as. So we do not enable a null here on the user login. When we insert here, we want to enforce the user login as well as enforce any of these other fields for now anyway. So let's go ahead and just save that. And with that, we have then our sec profile table. So I could already go ahead and create here the application for that. But I think really it'd be a little pointless. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave that for now. And I think I'm going to also leave you guys with what we have here now for our project. Because in reality, it is pretty much complete. There are a few adjustments I would still make here, but we can look at those maybe in a future project when we have a project to put and use this platform for. Now, of course, do remember, please, that the whole purpose of this series of videos was to give you some idea of how long and how difficult, frustrating it can be creating a project or platform, no matter whether it's created in Scriptcase. If it's not created in Scriptcase, believe me, it can be 1,000 times harder, because I've created platforms like this by hand, and yeah, it's not easy and it takes a long blimmin' time. Now in Scriptcase, it's done in no time at all in comparison. At the same time, you really want to have your plan together, have your data together, have your tables together, and all of those will make big differences. If you have everything scoped out, arranged previously, then of course when you come to your project, you will flow. The project itself will flow. You will generate those applications and smack them out so fast, you'll be pretty surprised. I'm pretty surprised sometimes how fast I can create things in Scriptcase. But of course, that's me. Okay, you yourself, you may be struggling with a lot of those options, and well, that is of course why I have training sessions, consultations, and so forth. So if you have any problems, or you are wanting to have all of these tips and feedback and trainings that I'm sharing in these videos, which believe me can take you a few years to go through. Okay, now I have used Scriptcase for a very long time now already, so if there's anybody to ask, it's either me or the people at Scriptcase or anybody else that has been using Scriptcase as long as me. And I can tell you a lot of those people will charge a lot more than I do. Okay, so that is all for today, and I really hope you have enjoyed this project. I do apologize again, it has been a lengthy one, but of course that was the whole point of it. That was the whole point of it, okay? Because no project is built overnight. Rome was not built overnight, and it definitely fell overnight. And so can your project if you don't plan it, if you don't scope it, if you don't deal with it properly, and of course, if you don't know what you're doing. And that, well, I hope you are watching these videos for, so you learn more about Scriptcase, and you do learn to know what to do. Okay, so that is all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and of course, leave me a thumbs up there if you did. If you didn't, don't leave me a thumbs down. Well, whatever you want to do, I'm good with it all. I'm happy if you're happy, and if you're not happy, well, comment, let me know. Just comment in general. A lot of you are so silent, it's like you have nothing to say, nothing to ask for, nothing you want me to show you. I don't know. Well, we'll see. As it goes, off into the new year we will slide. So Happy New Year, everyone. And of course, Merry Christmas and great festivities. And again, if you don't celebrate any of that, I hope you are well, safe, and have an amazing time and end of the year and can celebrate with your friends and family anyways. So thank you very much for watching and being part of Scriptcase by Jamie. And until the next year.